Each year, outstanding people from all over the globe receive Nobel Prizes. Society celebrates their work in one or two essays in science magazines and then seemingly forgets about those people with very few exceptions to this rule. But keen readers will of course remember at least the names of Ernest Hemingway, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, or Albert Camus. At least that's how it seems to be. But how did we come to this? From now on, I want to spread the great ideas of forgotten great writers within the general public. The medal is one thing, but the influence on the people and their minds is another. So each 1 or 2 months I will be choosing a Nobel Prize winner in literature and recommend you their most exciting books or stories. In this July edition, I will tell you, and you will hopefully answer me in the comments, about Johannes Vilhelm Jensen, who was awarded his Nobel Prize in Literature in 1944. I've discovered him as well as the idea about this video at all without meaning to. I was rummaging through shelves in my favorite second-hand bookstore and I stumbled upon a pretty-looking hardcover with beautiful, gorgeous illustrations. And of course, I couldn't resist the temptation and I bought it. My edition is in Russian translation because I know no Danish, and it begins with the biography of this great Dane. Therefore, I propose to start this video from this point too. Born in 1873 in a village in North Jutland in Denmark, he grew up among nature and rural customs. This, in fact, will affect the course of his life as the childhood often does. He tried to follow in his father's footsteps and came to study medicine at Copenhagen. To fund his stay at the university, he picked up writing and ended up being so immersed in the craft that he changed his chosen career path. From 1900 onwards, he began to establish himself as a modernist. His most prominent works from this period include the historical novel, that's the name in Danish, or in English its name is The Fall of the King, and the collection of poems. Among his not literary interests were anthropology and Darwin's theory of evolution. Those were major influences and resulted in a cycle of 6 novels by the name or The Long Journey. The book that I now hold in my hands and the book which allowed him to finally receive his Nobel Prize in 1944 for the rare strength and fertility of his poetic imagination, with which is combined an intellectual curiosity of wide scope and a bold, freshly creative style. I said finally received because Jensen had been nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature for the first time in 1925, and every year between 1931 and 1944 he was also nominated to receive this prize. Jensen worked on these 6 novels for 14 years, from 1908 till 1922. Despite the original, English translation is comprised into 3 volumes instead of 6. Books 1 and 2 fall under the title Fire and Ice, while books 3 and 4 are called The Cimbrians. The final 2 books were published under the title Christopher Columbus. My Russian edition for some reason falls between the first and the second volume, if we compare it with the English translation. Now, some words about the plot, even though I'll try not to spoiler too much. The first volume, as the name suggests, tells us about the prehistoric times, the Ice Age. Fire, one and only god for the people in those times. They worshipped the fire in blind terror after one man had brought it down from the Fire Mountain, a volcano. But times change, climate gets colder, and society seemingly doesn't evolve at all. People flee from the cold, dumb, have no culture, no thoughts or inclination to change their ways of life, to invent new tools or customs. But in one of these tribes, there's a man who despises his lazy and fearful fellows and goes to the north to combat the god of cold. In the first volume, the emphasis is on the idea of Eden, of heaven on earth, of those tropical virgin forests before the Ice Age. In real time, as the man evolves with the climate, the reader can understand there's no going back to the blissful unawareness of the world around us. The society has to grow up, to change, to invent new ways of life. Still, all the peoples and all the cultures will dream and tell fairy tales of a wonderful land of heaven that once existed and maybe can be found again. What hardships must be endured? What gods must be prayed to? What battles should be won in order to get closer to those dreamy forests? I think exactly those questions drive ancient Scandinavians in the Fire and Ice volume. One of those people follows us, readers, into the next volume, The Cimbrians. His name is Nornegest. His character is hardened by northern winds, his mind sharpened by the physical work and attentive eyes, his destiny determined by a candle. Jensen made his hero almost immortal to show us the world through the eyes of a wise old skald. Centuries and peoples pass by him. He travels all over the globe in hopes of finding the land of the dead, where they all rest in the virgin forests, but again, in vain. He also accompanies Cimbri, an ancient Celtic tribe. The fourth book of the cycle focuses almost solely on the struggles of this folk. Again, the climate had changed and the people of the north had to either submit and die or change their ways of life. They, of course, decided for the latter and migrated south to escape the floods and find a new land for their children. The rest of the story revolves around the Cimbrian War, where the Germanic and Celtic tribes fought against the Roman Republic in 113 and 108 BC. The rest of the cycle I unfortunately will not cover in this video because I haven't read it yet. Still, I definitely recommend reading it till the end, and I will definitely do so myself, because the story that Johannes Jensen began in the prehistoric times will be continued by no one else than Christopher Columbus. That's one-of-a-kind crossover. If you want to share your opinion on the rest of the long journey in the comments, you're welcome. As chairman of the Nobel Committee of the Swedish Academy said, the whole book is like a series of huge decorative paintings in which characterization is less important than the range of composition. The volumes feel like paintings. There is not a dry, meaningless or soulless word in each of the novels. All texts of the cycle influence the reader with the tenderness and fascination that Jensen surely felt towards the nature, the culture, and his own folk. Sub-chapters are dedicated solely to the beauty of the forest and the animals that live in it. The descriptions feel almost poetic. Another interesting fact is that there are no dialogues at all, maybe two short ones all over across 3 books which I've read, which isn't typical for prose that I know of. Nevertheless, the story doesn't get less interesting because of that. On the contrary, the characters of the main heroes are displayed rather through their actions. And I like those novels a lot because they were a way for me to indulge in history without having to sit down and stare at maps or dynasties. Of course, everything described should be taken with the grain of salt. That's fiction literature. What do you expect? Nevertheless, some people and battles did really exist in real life, like aforementioned Cimbrian War, for example. But Jensen allows us to see how people who made history were actually living, day by day, what worries they had, what they ate, how they hunted, how women liked to dress. The gift of the Danish writer was to make history breathe on the pages of his novels, and I'm a big fan of this approach. Partly because historical fiction is one of my favorite genres in literature at all. Even by the Swedish Academy, he was characterized as one of the most fertile Scandinavian writers, and yes, his bibliography is extensive. Still, it's sad to see that many of his works weren't even translated into English, and I believe there are many other cultures and peoples which would have only benefited from reading his novels and myths and diving deep into the Scandinavian culture and national thought. But now you, I made this video exactly for this purpose, can enrich your worldview by reading the whole cycle, The Long Journey. If you can't find a physical copy, I have linked a site in the description where you can download the book and read it online. What do you think about the life and writings of Johannes Jensen? Which Nobel Prize winner would you like to see in the next video? Tell me this and more, if you want, in the comment section. Bye!